Afternoon, everybody. Movie review time. The Good Liar, directed by Bill Condon and starring Sir Ian McKellen and is it Dame Helen Mirren? I'm not sure. Anyway, Dame Helen Mirren or just plain Helen Mirren. What's it like? Is it any good? Should you spend your money? Stick around and you'll find out. Now, The Good Liar is a film about two elderly people. They're both in their late 70s, I imagine now, may even be early 80s. And one of the things I like about the film is it's not sentimental about old people. I do get fed up with this endless sentimentality about elderly people, how they're, sitting in the sunshine, dreaming of stair lifts and Brexit and funeral plans and all the other stuff, and these dreadful adverts you see on the television. And then when you've got somebody on the telly who wants to do a parachute jump or so forth, the interviewer is so patronising about this wonderful old person, and isn't it great they've been married to Bertie for 120 years or whatever it is. Now, this film, it doesn't sentimentalise old people. These are two elderly people who have something to accomplish. They are still living, they are doing stuff, and they are not slaves to their old age. And that's a great thing about the film. Now, Sir Ian McKellen plays an elderly gentleman and Helen Mirren plays an elderly lady, and they meet on the internet. They're both single for various reasons. They're looking for love or companionship or perhaps a bit of both, and so they get together. Now, you think at the beginning of the film that, this is so obviously going to be Ian McKellen trying to fleece this old lady, and then you realise very quickly afterwards, no, actually it's a bit more to it than that, and maybe somebody else gets fleeced, who knows. But one of the things that's important about this film, and the reason why it requires two elderly characters, is that it refers back to events that took place a long time ago, perhaps during the Second World War. Now, I'm not going to give any plot spoilers in this review, so don't worry, you can watch it to the end. So they need to be elderly because it relates back to something that happened in earlier times. Now, the film is not without its faults. There are plot holes that you can drive a truck through. And Sir Ian McKellen, I felt he overacts a little bit too much. Now, it is one of the good things about the film is it doesn't sentimentalise old people. It's also quite remarkably, graphically, violent, and violent in a quite unpleasant way that in some respects brings you up short. And I went to the film with my dear lady wife Jane, and we were talking about malevolent, wicked characters in the movies, and we were drawing parallels with Joe Pesci in Goodfellas and Ben Kingsley in Sexy Beast. And if you haven't seen Sexy Beast, and if you haven't seen Ben Kingsley in Sexy Beast, go and see it. But Jane was saying that she thought Ian McKellen's character was wonderfully, superbly wicked and quite scary. And I said I do agree up to a point. The thing that I felt was with Ben Kingsley in Sexy Beast, you never thought you were watching Ben Kingsley give a performance. You thought you were watching a absolutely vicious and malevolent East End gangster, and you left the film and you had nightmares thereafter. But I never thought that I was watching anything other than Sir Ian McKellen give a great performance of a wicked person. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a wicked performance, but you never suspend your disbelief for long enough to think that he's not acting, dear boy. And some of his acting, dear boy, is a little bit too theatrical for my liking, because it is a film. Now, it's a British film. In some respects, it's a small British film, and you could say, does it really deserve a theatrical release? Well, I don't see why not. Why shouldn't we go to the cinema and see small British films that tell a good story? And it does tell a good story, and it tells it very well. So I think it's an excellent film in a lot of respects. It doesn't bear too much thinking about in terms of, well, some things happen because they need to happen for the purposes of the film. But then you think, well, hang on a minute, if that thing hasn't happened, then the whole premise of the film falls apart. And it wasn't inevitable that that thing happened. It could very well have not happened, but they made it happen because the film needed it to happen. Now, that happens in an awful lot of films, so it's not necessarily a major criticism. I really enjoyed the film. Jane really enjoyed the film, and it doesn't have a pat, happy ending. It turns out well for some of the characters. It doesn't turn out well for all of the characters. But it comes to a conclusion. I thought the big reveal and the explanation of the big reveal was a little bit too long-winded, a little bit too detailed, but no matter. And there's a character played by Russell Tovey, who is Helen Mirren's grandson, who I never quite believed in. Something about the way Russell Tovey played him, or perhaps it's just the way that Russell Tovey is, but he didn't ring true to me. The others rang true, despite the plot holes. You believed in Helen Mirren's character. It was a little bit far-fetched, but you believed in it. You believed in Ian McKellen's character. It was a little bit far-fetched, but you still believed in it. You didn't have to suspend your, or rather, it didn't force you to suspend your disbelief to the point where you thought, oh, come on, I don't believe this for a minute. It's not like that. When you step back and you think about it a bit too much, and Jane always says I overanalyze his films too much, and the more I think about them, the more I decide I don't like them. That is not the case with this film. I liked this film. I enjoyed this film. So, should you go and see it? Yes, you should. You will be entertained, and you will be entertained in a thoughtful, thought-provoking kind of way. And it's, as I say, interesting to see old people, elderly people living their lives because they still have things they wish to accomplish. Now, they say that revenge is a dish best eaten cold, and if there was ever a film that exemplifies the perfectness of that succinct proverb, it is The Good Liar. I'm not sure it's a great title, by the way. It's not particularly memorable, but there it is. It sums up the film. That's a little bit too well. So, should you go and see it? Absolutely. Should you spend your money? Absolutely. Is it a good film? Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. See you next time.